the things we're going to be talking about over the next, well, however long, are going to be very, very interesting, especially in the next 2 years. That's assuming, we're all going to be here over another 2 years. But I want to share with you all the ways that the Republicans, the Christian fascists, are planning to investigate Joe Biden. They're just out of control. They're not interested, you know this, they're not interested in governing. They're not interested in truth, justice of the American way. Anyway, these newly empowered House Republicans, by a very thin margin, granted, but that's what the Democrats had too. And look at the work the Democrats got done over the past 2 years. Oh my God. At the end of the 2 years we're in now, when the next election comes up in 2024, I am guessing, and I hope I'm right here, that the Republicans, the Christian fascists, are going to make such a mess of their own party. They're going to continue to murder it, even though the Republican Party's already dead, that the American public will say, okay, that's enough of these son of a bitches, and they will send them where they belong. But for the next 2 years, the Republicans, and I say that because I get tired of saying Christian fascists, but you know who I'm talking about, but they are all but certain to be unable to get their legislative agenda into law. In the first place, they don't know how to do it. They're not there. They haven't been there since Newt Gingrich to pass laws or to get their agenda, their legislative agenda, into effect. That's not why the Christian fascists are there. Instead, this year especially, they've made it clear that the sole mission of the 118th Congress, which is the one that was seated the other day, the sole mission is going to be investigating the Biden administration, including all sorts of bullshit inquiries that, according to these fascists, could lead to the potential impeachment of Joe Biden and several cast members. Oh, someone please get me the smelling salts. Oh, not that. Now, these devils are planning to use their new subpoena power, and I would hope that anyone who is subpoenaed to come before any congressional committee, as long as these bums are in power, just ignore the subpoenas. They're bullshit. They're based on lies, deception, rumors, conspiracy theorists, QAnon horse shit, so just ignore them. But prior to using that new subpoena power, the Republicans have already put together 3 special investigative committees or subcommittees. But they're planning a lot more because they have all kinds of stuff to investigate. Yeah. Some of their investigations, according to the New York Times, may involve multiple panels, 2 or 3 committees or subcommittees investigating the same thing. And top members of the Christian Fascist Party in the House are jockeying to get the biggest and most prominent pieces in front of their committee. It's difficult. I have to talk to myself. You've heard me talk to myself, and I say, all right, Malloy, calm down. But I have to say to myself, okay, don't get so hysterical, Mike. This too will pass. All this shit will pass. But it hasn't passed as of yet. Now, last year, McCarthy, the new Speaker of the House, Kevin, said that he had not yet seen any grounds for impeaching Joe Biden. Really, Kevin? But while he said that, Republicans have already introduced a whole bunch of impeachment articles against Biden and members of his cabinet. And some of the sewer rats at the Fox sewer and the scum in the Republican Party in the House and influential conservatives like, let me think, I know one, Matt Schlapp. They've said they relish the prospect of putting him on trial, Joe Biden, for high crimes and misdemeanors. Oh my God. Okay, thanks to Luke Broadwater at New York Times, I'm going to share with you a roadmap of these investigations. First of all, Jim Jordan, the Peeping Tom, used to hang out in the locker room at Ohio State University and watch the team doctor there, the sports doctor, manipulate the privates of various athletes, ostensibly for an examination, but it turns out it was for the sexual gratification of the team doctor. And Jim Jordan would hide in the locker room and watch this stuff and never report it. He knew it was going on, but he didn't report it. Finally, team players reported it, and, well, you know the rest of the story. So Jim Jordan is heading up, among other things, a special subcommittee of the Judiciary Committee. Now, the Judiciary Committee's chairman is this creep, Jim Jordan. So not only is he chairman of the Judiciary Committee, but he's going to head up the special subcommittee that's going to take a look at what they're calling the weaponization of government. Where were you, filth, during the George W. Bush years? Now, do they have any substantive policy questions regarding the weaponization of government? Well, so far, no. The text of the resolution establishing this subcommittee gives the subcommittee essentially carte blanche, open-ended jurisdiction to take a look at any issue related to civil liberties from the standpoint that the Nazis have had their civil liberties infringed upon, like when the Proud Boys or the Oath Keepers go to prison for insurrection. That's their civil liberties being infringed upon. And also the committee will look at how any agency of the federal government has collected, analyzed, and used information about Americans, including, and this is the weird part, quote, ongoing criminal investigations. Now, ongoing criminal investigations, right now the more prominent ones, like I mentioned, I think last week, are the criminal investigations against the people who tried to overthrow the government of the United States, tried to hang the Vice President of the United States, tried to assault the Speaker of the House of the United States, and the deeply criminal Donald Jesus Trump. Those are the criminal investigations going on right now. So the American fascists are going to take a look at these and see if they can, I don't know, what could they possibly do? Well, they can do a lot of damage, put out phony information, flood the airwaves, well, at least the airwaves where people listen to the Fox sewer and the sewer rats on that so-called network, and listen to Trump. And did I read over the weekend a couple of days ago that Trump is going to be allowed back on Facebook? Oh, Jesus Christ. And Mark Zuckerberg is a Jew. What is wrong with you, Mark? What the F is wrong with you? You're going to allow this anti-Semite and his minions back on your... See, this is where I want to say, okay, Mike, calm down. The subcommittee I'm talking about that will be headed by Jim Jordan also will have the authority to obtain classified information that typically, that is before these Christian demons arose, typically only is provided to the Intelligence Committee. And included in what they're going to demand are some of the government's most protected secrets. Now, should a government have secrets? Well, in a perfect society, no. But we don't live in a perfect society, and we don't live on a perfect planet, and we live on a planet where everybody wants to kill everybody else. The religious crazy people want to kill everybody else. The political factions want to kill everybody else. The Nazis want to kill everybody else. So should there be secrets? Well, I guess so. But these committees that the Christian fascists are establishing will want to rip the cover off these secrets and probably hand them to the sewer rats at Fox so that they can be used to destabilize the government, to make people lose faith in the government. Oh my God, this is why I'm asking you to keep this podcast on the air, because I know there are other people out there, other podcasters I know, who address some of the same issues that I address. And I don't know if any of the rest of my colleagues address these issues with the same fury and vitriol as I do. But as I've said over the years, many, many times, even back during the days of liberal talk radio, we have to keep as many voices from the left as we possibly can. Now, the political agenda of this particular campaign I'm talking about, the one that the Peeping Tom Jim Jordan is going to run, the political agenda is during the 2022 campaign, when the fascists promised to use their new power in Congress to look very deeply at what they said was a concerted effort by the government to silence and punish conservatives at all levels, from the protesters at school board meetings to the poor, victimized former President Donald Jesus Trump. Protesters at school board meetings. Do you remember some of those videos? The screaming, insane white people who would show up at school board meetings, frothing and yelling and getting verbally violent because the school board was considering mandates for masks to protect the children of these crazy goddamn fascists. And in certain instances, a school board meeting would be closed because it got out of hand, or the police would be called because it got out of hand. So the Peeping Tom Jim Jordan is going to investigate whether those screaming, filthy, insane, QAnon-inspired parents had their rights violated when the school board meeting was closed. That's part of it. And this panel that the Peeping Tom is going to run could also become a means of targeting federal workers accused of carrying out a partisan agenda. A partisan agenda. It could also, once again, bring up and relitigate some of this information about the Orange Vomit's conduct, including the facts surrounding his effort to overturn the 2020 election, or his removal of stolen classified material from the White House and his refusal to return it. So the Peeping Tom bastard Jim Jordan wants to investigate, did that really happen? Did he refuse to return it? I mean, here's the thing. I realize I'm getting out of control here. Let me take a sip of River Moon coffee. Hold on. Oh my God, that's good. Okay, sip of coffee, deep breath. Okay. What they're going to try to disprove is the record, the physical record of evidence that was provided to investigators, district attorneys, county attorneys, like here in Atlanta, county district attorneys, the federal government investigative committees, certifiable evidence of the crimes committed by Donald Trump in trying to overturn the election. And the Peeping Tom Jim Jordan, Peeping Jim, he is going to try to disprove this, among other things. Hakeem Jeffries, the new minority leader of the Democratic Party in the House, he called the new committee run by Peeping Jim as, quote, the Select Committee on Insurrection Protection. Insurrection protection. Absolutely. Now, the next area, of course, that's going to get an awful lot of scrutiny by these Christian Nazis is the Biden family businesses. The committees involved in this one are going to be the Oversight and Government Reform Committee, which is led by James Comer, a Christian fascist from Kentucky, And there's a good chance that the same Judiciary Subcommittee run by Peeping Jim will also take a look at the Biden family businesses. Now, are there any substantive policy questions that this committee will be looking at? Well, no. But the Oversight Committee says the purpose of what they're going to do is to create legislation to strengthen, don't laugh, federal ethics laws. Oh my God. And to ensure that financial institutions have the proper internal controls and compliance programs to alert federal agencies of potential money laundering activity. Now, what that really means, what Mr. Comer really means, is they are going to make sure that financial institutions have all sorts of avenues of escape and cover-up when they do their dirty dealing to rip off the federal government, the banking system, the American public, the taxpayers. That's what they call legislation to strengthen federal ethics laws and ensure the financial institutions are protected from the very shit that the Christian fascists do themselves. Look at Trump. Look at Trump. Oh, don't. No, avert your eyes quickly. You'll go blind. The political agenda of Mr. Comer, well, he has been running his mouth for months that he's going to investigate Biden's family. His staff, apparently, according to the New York Times, has already gotten the contents of a laptop owned by Hunter Biden. They already have it. But I thought it was missing. I thought the sewer rats at Fox were telling their brain-dead viewers that, hey, where is it? Where is it? Now, it just so happens, yeah, Hunter Biden's business activities are under federal investigation. If he has broken the law, penalize him as soon as you penalize Donald Jesus Trump. Now, the guy from Kentucky who's going to handle this, Comer, and Peeping Jim told a news conference that about their plans to take their inquiry beyond the younger Mr. Biden. Mr. Comer said, quote, "This is an investigation of Joe Biden." Okay. Now, another thing they're going to investigate, and this one just really concerns me, and that's the origins of the COVID pandemic. They're going to investigate that. Now, the committee involved in this, a special subcommittee of the Oversight Committee, the same one I just talked about, and the Energy and Commerce Committee, which is led by a Republican from Washington named Kathy Rogers. Okay, Kathy? Now, the substantive policy questions that may be involved here in the origins of the COVID pandemic, well, these Christian fascists explore whether the United States government should be funding so-called gain-of-function research, which I never heard of. That, according to what I have here, that's a narrow sliver of scientific inquiry that can involve tinkering, trying to alter viruses in a way that could make them more dangerous or make them unable to do their damage. But you see, this is scientific research, and the Christian fascists want none of this. And since research is at the heart, the very heart of the Republican assertion that the pandemic was caused by just this, somebody somewhere, probably Joe Biden's son Hunter, was trying to alter these viruses and release them into the public. That is QAnon conspiracy bullshit theory disputed by scientists whose research shows that the outbreak most likely originated at a live animal market in Wuhan, China. But that's not good enough for the Christian fascists. Oh no. Now, the political agenda involved in this, well, the Republicans, including Comer and Peeping Jim, have asserted with no evidence that Dr. Fauci covered up a lab leak. That these two morons say that's what caused the pandemic. And they have said repeatedly that they're going to investigate Dr. Fauci, who is, as we all know, is a major political target for these Christian fascists seeking to suck up to Trump voters. Dr. Fauci is on the record as saying he has a completely open mind about whether the outbreak originated in a lab, but Fauci has said that the preponderance of evidence shows it was a natural occurrence. Oh no, no. That's not going to be allowed, a natural occurrence. All right, I've given you an idea here. There's more, but I'm running out of time, of what these demons, these Christian fascists are going to try to do. And the chances are, in so many instances, they're going to be successful in the damage that they're going to do. And that's all they're interested in, is damage, is hurting people, destroying government, causing this republic to collapse.
Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. You know, the Progressive Voices Network brings you commercial-free commentary from today's leading progressive radio hosts and pundits, like me, Mike Malloy, 24 hours a day. I'm not your typical old guy from the 80s or the 90s talk radio host, and Progressive Voices is not your typical talk radio network. It's a listener-supported nonprofit with no corporate control whatsoever over our broadcast. So hosts like me, Mike Malloy, are free to rant and scream and carry on about whatever we like. We're often controversial, but we're never boring. Weeknights, 9 p.m. in the East, 6 p.m. in the West on the Progressive Voices Network. Always progressive, always on. I'm Mike Malloy. Keep it lit.